most people, if you ask them why we have laws against drugs, would say, well, drugs cause violence. They cause crime. When people get high on drugs, they're likely to become violent. That's a common misconception. The two most commonly used illicit drugs have only one effect on violence, and that is to diminish it. Those are marijuana and heroin. People who are under the influence of either marijuana or heroin are less likely to commit violence under otherwise identical circumstances than people who have not had access to those. Now, I'm not advocating these. There can be public health problems that these compounds can create, but that's all it is. It's a public health problem. To turn it into a criminal problem is just insane.
I had 4 bodyguards, I had 6 to 8 runners. You know, I mean, the money was good. The money's good, it's fast. You know, all you do is spit out the balloons or whatever, and, you know, or whatever you're selling, man, and the money comes just that quick, dude. You just gotta, that's why I had the bodyguards, because you got people come up and try to rob you and stuff, you know, but I mean, the money's quick, money's good. You ain't got, if you're dealing yourself, you ain't got nobody over your head hollering at you, being your boss, somebody, I'll fire you, you know. You ain't got nobody like that. They ain't never gonna be able to stop the drug dealing. It's gonna be there, because it's too quick money.
Well, it's so hard to get a job, too.
Yeah, that too, you know. And the damn, you gotta have it. I mean, like, I try to get a job. I ain't got no high school diploma or nothing. You know, dude, I had to go for these little menial jobs that's on paying minimum wage. You know, and that don't pay for nothing. You can't get an apartment nowadays on minimum wage. Mm-hmm. You know.
The only correlation between drugs and violence is the drug sellers fighting among each other to get control of the drug market in a particular neighborhood. Just like the bootleggers would massacre each other to get control of the illicit alcohol market when we were prohibiting alcohol in the 1920s. The drug dealers most often are not drug addicts themselves. They're businessmen.
I've never did drugs in my life, but it was more a struggle for me to get what I needed to get. You know, I used to see people out there, big ballers and driving nice cars, and these are the things that I wanted, but didn't know how to get it. You see what I'm saying? I had no job skills. I'm very young, but I know at a young age this is what I want. And being influenced by a lot of people out there and watching all this money being exchanged for drugs, I caught on quick and said, you know what? I got to do it. I want this too.
Some of the drug dealers in Oakland, like Felix Mitchell was a famous one, were enormously clever and talented people. And probably if they were put in a corporation that needed that talent, they could have made a huge contribution. And so many of the clients I represented were not basically evil people. I met very, very few people that I thought were actively dangerous because of something internal within them, as opposed to a result of a social environment. And many of them, were, frankly, had more people skills and social skills than I had. These are people that had to sell themselves. They couldn't sell themselves by a diploma on the wall or claiming to have some special background or training.
We know from past history that prohibiting drugs stimulates violence and decriminalizing them diminishes violence. And yet we continue to put people in prison for using these drugs rather than providing them with substance abuse treatment. Substance abuse treatment is 7 to 8 times more effective in getting people off drugs and away from the crimes associated with drugs than putting them in prison is. If our goal in America today, if the goal of the criminal justice system in America was to raise the rates of crime and violence in this country to the highest possible level, we couldn't have a better designed system. That's exactly what it's doing.